Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here again to sift through that mountain of information you shared and pull out what really matters, what you can actually use. Today, we're plunging into something huge. Our digital footprint, that trail we all leave online. It's vast, often invisible, and honestly, it can be pretty risky. We're going to unpack the data we generate, why it matters, and what it all means. And hey, if you're joining us from Mind Expansion Daily, thanks. We love that you're seeking out this kind of information. Please do like and subscribe over there. And if you find this deep dive valuable, maybe buy us a coffee. The link's right there in the description.
It's definitely a conversation we need to be having more often. The sources you send over, they paint a pretty stark picture. By, what was it, September 30, 2025, over 5.4 billion internet users. That's huge.
Yes, 68% of the global population leaving this trail. And the picker is most people apparently don't grasp how big that trail actually is.
Exactly. So that's our mission today, right? To really get into what this footprint is, why it's more than just, annoying ads following you around.
Right. And crucially, what steps you, the listener, can actually take to, well, secure your digital self a bit better. That statistic you mentioned, the one that really jumped out at me, 60% of users are basically unaware of how much data they're leaving behind.
Flying blind, essentially.
It means most people are just, wandering through the digital world, dropping breadcrumbs, not realizing who or what might be following.
So let's define it, put some shape on it. Your digital footprint, it's basically the sum total of everything you do online. And it breaks down into two main types. Active and passive data.
Active and passive.
Active is the stuff you choose to put out there. Your posts, comments on articles, maybe reviews you write. It's intentional.
Got it. Things you type and hit send on.
Exactly. Passive data, though, that's the automatic stuff. Your search history, the websites you browse, how long you stay on a page, clicks.
Okay. And that distinction feels really important because one feels like, communication, something I control. The other sounds sneakier.
Well, it's certainly less visible and often more revealing for that reason. Let's look at active first. Take X, for example. The sources show something like 70% of users share really personal stuff. Relationships, hobbies, even where they are right now.
Wow, 70%. That's data just handed over voluntarily.
Right, but then connect that to the passive trail. This is often where data brokers get really interested. Think about browsing Amazon. One source mentioned they track something like 80% of your clicks there.
80%?
Yeah. And that directly feeds their recommendation algorithms. It basically maps out your intentions, what you're thinking about buying or researching.
And when you scale that up, Google logging 8.5 billion searches a day. That's our collective consciousness almost. Our fears, questions, health worries.
Exactly. It's all logged, creating this incredibly detailed profile. And the way it's built physically is through these invisible trackers.
Okay, hang on. Let's pause there. Because invisible trackers sounds a bit sci-fi. You mentioned cookies and IP addresses.
Yeah.
How do those actually work? Why are they so powerful?
Good question. Because, it is murky for most people. Pew Research found 64% of Americans don't really get how this data collection works. So, your IP address, think of it like your computer's return address online. It gives away your general location.
Okay, simple enough.
Cookies are little data files stored by your browser. Now, some are helpful first-party cookies, remember your shopping cart, for instance. But the ones we worry about are third-party cookies. These are often placed by advertisers or data brokers.
Right, not the website I'm actually visiting.
Exactly. And they can track your activity across, get this, 90% of your web visits. They connect the dots between totally different sites you visit.
Whoa. So it's not just Amazon watching me on Amazon. It's some other company watching me go from Amazon to a news site to maybe a blog and knowing it's all the same person.
Precisely. They pool all that information together. And this is where that personal footprint check example from the sources gets really interesting. Remember when the host in that source looked at their own data?
Yeah.
The mix of their X posts, specific Google searches about health, and Amazon buys for fitness stuff, it suddenly painted this incredibly vivid, almost predictive picture.
Right? Like you might think, oh, I just bought a yoga mat. Simple purchase.
But the algorithm knows you were searching exercises for back pain 3 weeks before that. It connects dots you might not even connect yourself. It's way more revealing than just one post.
That's chillingly accurate. Okay, so if that's the kind of detailed profile being built just by us browsing and clicking, what are the actual real world dangers? It can't just be about getting creepily specific ads, right?
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
The risks are serious and systemic. First, you've got the immediate financial and personal stuff. Identity theft. The FBI reported, 1.4 million cases in 2025? And a third of those, 33%, were linked directly to online data being stolen or harvested.
A third, often from big data breaches.
Right. Often, yeah. Or phishing scams that work because the scammer already knows something about you from your footprint. Then there's the reputation damage. Employers are looking. That 70% figure. Rejecting candidates because of stuff they find online. That's huge.
Your digital past can literally cost you a job.
Absolutely. Your digital history is part of your professional profile now, like it or not. And then there's the personal toll, especially for younger people. Cyberbullying. 41% of teens facing harassment online, often fueled by personal details found easily.
It's awful. But the sources also highlighted this bigger sort of societal level risk, the corporate and political exploitation angle. Cambridge Analytica in 2018 felt like a real turning point there. We should probably unpack that a bit.
Yes, that was the moment the sheer power of this data profiling hit the mainstream. Hard. Remember, they harvested data from 87 million Facebook profiles, often through things like simple quiz apps people took for fun.
87 million.
Oh,
And the scary part wasn't just the amount of data, but what they did with it.
right. Exactly. They figured out that by analyzing your likes, your posts, your online behavior, they could predict your core personality traits with about 80% accuracy.
80% accuracy from
Alright.
Facebook likes.
How? They used psychometric models, specifically the Ocean model mapping traits like openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism. Your digital behavior, liking certain music, following specific political pages, even when you post, could map pretty accurately onto those traits.
Okay.
And then they use those incredibly accurate personality profiles to micro-target political ads. Ads specifically designed to push your buttons based on your predicted personality, maybe playing on fears if you scored high on neuroticism, or appealing to tradition if you were low on openness.
So they weren't just showing ads, they were trying to manipulate people psychologically based on data harvested without real consent.
Yeah.
That feels deeply wrong.
It absolutely undermined personal autonomy. That potential for prediction and therefore manipulation was the core of the scandal. The FTC fined Meta, Facebook's parent company, $5 billion, a huge number. But even after all that, 64% of users still didn't realize their data had been shared like that.
And that lack of awareness seems to persist. Even now, with 80% of ads being behaviorally targeted using these kinds of profiles, it explains why, 59% of people say they feel tracked online without really agreeing to it. You see it in those X discussions mentioned in the sources too, people saying things like, got hacked right after clicking a dodgy link. Your footprint makes you a target.
It absolutely does. But the good news is you're not completely powerless here. There are concrete things you can do, actionable steps to shrink that digital shadow.
Okay, let's get into those practical takeaways. Action number one seems pretty straightforward. Just be more selective. Limit the oversharing. We know 70% of breaches somehow relate back to public posts. That's something you can directly control.
Right. A simple first step is making your social media accounts private, especially if you share personal stuff like family photos or health updates. Why make that easily scrapable?
Makes sense. Okay, action two. Using actual privacy tools. This isn't just flicking a switch in settings, right? It's about using tech that changes how you connect.
Exactly. Think about VPNs, virtual private networks. Their main job is to mask your IP address, hiding your real location from trackers. It scrambles that digital return address we talked about. Then you have more hardcore options like the Tor browser that routes your connection through multiple layers, making you much harder to track. It's slower, sure, but the anonymity is high.
And ad blockers. They seem pretty common now.
Crucial. They specifically target and block many of those third-party trackers we mentioned. Sources say they can cut down tracking by around 60%.
60% is a big chunk, and that makes a difference you can feel. I like that anecdote from the X user.
Oh yeah, the Proton VPN one.
Yeah. Switch to a VPN and suddenly no more creepy ads. That immediate drop in targeted stuff shows it's working.
It really does. Then action 3 is about ongoing maintenance. Digital hygiene, you could call it. You actually need to go back and delete old posts sometimes. Use tools like Google's dashboard to clear out your search history periodically. It's not a one-and-done thing.
Right. It needs regular checkups,
Yeah.
like auditing your exposure. Using tools like Have a Been in Pound to see if your email or passwords have shown up in data breaches, which seems vital given the 1.4 million breaches reported in 2025 alone. You need to know if you've been exposed.
Definitely. And it helps remember the bigger picture here, too, the regulatory side. Governments are acting. The sources mentioned GDPR fines in Europe hitting $2 billion for violations in 2025. That pressure forces companies to be a bit more careful, which ultimately helps us.
Yeah, that's true. And bringing it back to that personal audit example again, the steps taken, like privatizing accounts, clearing history, using a VPN, the result was a 50% drop in targeted ads. That's a tangible benefit from taking action.
It absolutely is. It proves you can push back against the constant tracking. You're not just passively accepting it.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this. The big takeaway seems to be every single click, every search, every like, it all builds your digital shadow.
Yeah.
And that shadow reveals a lot: where you are, what you're interested in, maybe even secrets. You have to actively guard it.
And you guard it by being mindful of what you share and by using the tools available to shield yourself. Limit the input, increase the protection.
Right, so vigilance and smart choices.
But if we connect this all back,
Hmm.
knowing that profiles can predict our personality with 80% accuracy, influencing jobs, maybe even elections, it does leave us with a pretty big question, doesn't it, for you, the listener? In a world where, as we said, 60% of people aren't even fully aware of their footprint's extent, how much control can the average person realistically expect to get back? Especially when up against these incredibly sophisticated algorithms and these huge, multi-billion-dollar data broker companies whose entire business model relies on knowing everything about you.
That is definitely the question to chew on. How much control is truly possible? We really hope you take this information and start applying it. Take a look at your own digital habits, your settings, maybe today. And please, don't forget to check out Mind Expansion Daily for more great insights like these. If you enjoyed this deep dive, give us a like, hit subscribe. And if you're feeling generous, that Buy Us a Coffee link is in the description. It really helps. Finally, let us know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with our summary on digital privacy? Drop a comment below and tell us the location you're listening from. We're aiming for a truly global reach. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.